Okay, so this week I thought we'll do a little Q&A. I'd like to answer three questions or three top questions for people who are in toxic relationships or in difficult relationships or narcissistic relationships. Okay, so there are three questions here. We'll do them one at a time. First question is, how can I identify the early warning signs of a narcissistic or toxic relationship? So people often struggle, right, with recognizing harmful dynamics early on and what may some of the red. It is really quite hard to spot some of the early warning signs simply because the narcissistic person is usually quite socially comfortable and they are very nice. They would be they say all the right things, they do all the right things, right? So it is quite challenging to spot. But an overt narcissist is someone who is very out there, sometimes very showy, and so it's very obvious that this person may be a narcissist. But a covert narcissist, which is a hidden one, right, it's not so obvious, right? So some of the signs of a covert one may be trying to control the situation, trying to control you, in the name of liking you, loving you, or giving you attention. So it'll be someone who wants to check your phone or who tells you that it is important that you do not talk to this person or that person, or someone who would love bomb you, but then after that may not pay any attention to you. And sometimes, a narcissist could, the narcissism is really a spectrum, so not everyone behaves in the same way, and sometimes it's a combination of different traits that they may have. And so you may have a partner who may be very, very attentive to you at the beginning of the relationship, and after that you become completely invisible. Invisible in the sense that you mean nothing to them, and by then you're already quite invested in the relationship. Maybe you're already married and maybe you already have children, and you are invisible. You feel like you're nothing to them. So that's later on in the relationship. So it's really quite tough at the beginning to see some of the signs. So I would say that the best way to go about doing this is to understand yourself first and foremost, and ask yourself, why are you attracted to certain people? What is it about certain people that draws you in? So for example, you may be drawn to someone who gives you a lot of attention. Then ask yourself, why do I feel drawn to people? Do I perceive this attention as love, or how do I perceive this? Do I really know who this person is and what the intentions are behind this person's actions? So asking yourself these questions, understanding yourself, gives you it's almost like you're in a better position to tell the difference between who is toxic and who is not. Because if you don't know yourself, you fall for anything, right? That's really a basic rule in personal development. If you don't know who you are, you fall for anything. If you don't know who you are, you buy anything, right? If you don't know who you are, when you go out there, people, salespeople have a fantastic time selling you things because you don't know what you want. You just buy anything, right? So it's the same thing, right? In terms of relationships. I know this answer is not very, it's quite vague in the sense because it doesn't give you the full details. It's quite hard to get into it because we do need to be quite specific in, let's say you come to me and you describe a particular person, and through questions, right, Q&A, I can tell you whether this person has a tendency or not, right? Because, we read a lot of content out there, articles about what narcissistic people do, but that trait alone does not mean that the person is narcissistic. So sometimes it is quite challenging, right? So we don't want to pigeonhole people just because they do something, they do that one thing, or they behave in that certain way, all right? So it's very important that we do not pigeonhole people so quickly. If you want to know more about this, you can get my little ebook on navigating narcissistic relationships. Second question is, what are the best strategies for setting boundaries with a narcissistic partner without escalating conflict? Setting boundaries with someone who manipulates or control can be very daunting. All right. So how do we then have that boundary? First and foremost, when you're dealing with a narcissistic person, and maybe by then you're already very invested in the relationship and maybe it's difficult to leave, and I can totally understand why you may still be in it. Not every relationship, narcissistic relationship that you're in requires you to leave, because sometimes the circumstances and situation may not allow you to. So it could be an elderly parent who is a narcissistic person. It could be your partner and you have a lot invested already, and leaving would be harder. Maybe you're financially tied to each other. Maybe the situation is such that, whatever it may be, right? Your circumstances, sometimes you just can't leave. So it's important to set that boundary. So the boundary that you set would be not to share anything personal or private, good or bad, with a narcissistic partner or anyone in your life, right? Whether it's a parent or a child or a friend. Because these personal things will be used against you sometime down the line, because these are what we call ammunition, and they will use it to make you feel bad about who you are and where you are. They will be used in ways to blackmail you, to make you feel bad, to make you feel obligated, and it's a way to control you. Okay, so that's number one. Yes, your conversation will be down to just boring conversation about the weather, about just mundane things. And you just have to stick by that. Because at this point, you don't want to engage emotionally, because that would drain you, first and foremost. Secondly, it will not be healthy for you to get into it. And when they start to criticize you or insult you, don't engage back. Just let it be. Just let them say what they want to say. Don't engage, don't put energy into it. The minute you put energy into it, you're hooked. And that's where they get a lot of supply of energy from that experience. When you engage and you're enraged because, you're being accused of something, there is a certain joy that they may get from it, right? It may not be a conscious thing, but they do get energy out of it. They feel energized in that engagement. You may be feeling so frustrated, right, in that engagement, but they get something out from it. And for them, it's a form of energy supply. So the idea is not to get involved in these, let them say what they want to say. The more you're triggered, the less you should be engaging. That's how you set boundaries. So third question I want to answer is, how do I heal and regain my sense of self after leaving a narcissistic or toxic relationship? Now, this is a rather tough one, because you do need to take time. Firstly, to heal your nervous system, to heal your body from all the emotional abuse that you've been, suffering from. Your self-esteem may have, taken a hit. Your sense of self may have taken a hit. You may need to get to know yourself all over again, because you may have lost a sense of who you are in that relationship. You will lose a part of you, because when you are in a narcissistic relationship, the chances of you giving so much, right, that you drain yourself from it, that you no longer have energy inside you that you may need to replenish. So taking some time off would be helpful. Be around people who are supportive. Stay away from people who may judge you for leaving, or stay away from people who may say things like, oh, you should get over it by now. Sort of people who are judging you and who are not supportive. Stay away from these people, because they're not good for your self-esteem. They're not good for your energy levels. Spend a lot of time in nature. And you do need help. You do need professional help. Seek the help of a therapist, someone, right? Because you do need to rebuild your self-esteem. You do need to also put a name to certain experiences that you have experienced, because not everyone has experienced a toxic relationship, and not everyone has experienced what it's like being in a narcissistic relationship. So when you're sharing this with people who have not had the experience, they don't understand where you're coming from, and they may play down your experience. They may even unknowingly gaslight you. This has happened to me many times, right? People gaslighting me and saying, oh no, this person is not like that. You got it wrong. And of course, in my mind, like, how would you know? You're not in it, right? You were not in it. So you would not know how, and the thing with narcissistic people is they usually don't share that part of themselves very openly. To the world, they are, they're fantastic people. They are knowledgeable people. They're good people, right? It's behind closed doors that you will receive the abuse. Okay, so be careful who you share with, okay? Because you may not get the support that you thought that you'd be getting from people whom you were close with, or people who simply cannot see what is happening behind closed doors, who will not believe you, right? Stay away from people like that. They're not helpful. It can feel lonely, so join a support group or something. It could be an online support group. I feel speaking to a therapist really makes a difference, at least once a week, because it makes you feel like you're supported in your journey as you journey through this, because you will feel very alone, especially if this person has a good standing socially and you're looked at as the crazy one. That's because, you're looked at as a crazy one because you're shouting and you're saying, you guys got it wrong, I have suffered through this, I'm going through such a difficult time. No one believes me, right? So that can be really, really tough. You will feel alone because, the fact that no one believes you. But, you have to trust and know that in time, the reality of the situation that you are in time, this particular aspect of the person's personality will be shown to people who maybe were not on your side, right? It may take 10 years even. It may take decades even, where people finally realize that, oh, I finally understand why it didn't work in your relationship. They will realize it. And you have to be patient. It's a long haul game. You cannot get people to immediately believe you. It's tough because they've never seen that side of a narcissistic person or a toxic person, or they're not aware until it happens to them. Okay? So, focus on building your own self-esteem. Focus on your own rediscovering your likes, dislikes, your passions, reigniting some of the things that you have abandoned because of the relationship. Go back to it, go back to doing the things that you enjoy doing. Go back to maybe even jobs that you enjoyed doing in the past, but you had to give up because of this relationship. Go back to it. Live your own life. Do the things that this particular maybe toxic or narcissistic partner did not like at all. Like, for example, maybe your narcissistic partner is obsessed with arranging things in a certain way, but that's not your style. So now in your home, you can arrange it in the way that you want, right? Or eat certain foods. Like this person dislikes certain foods, and then you never got to eat them, or you never had a chance to cook them because this toxic person didn't like it. Now is your chance. Eat all you want, right? Do something that you never had a chance. So I hope these answers gives you some light in how to deal with difficult people, narcissistic people. Any questions, please post them in the comments below, and I hope to see you again.